Okay. So at the moment, and it has been for a long time, a lot of noise in the weight loss space about things people can do, the latest fad, and what I discovered a couple of years ago when I had a weight loss product was that people are still very desperate. And what came out of that for me is that not only are people desperate, they've tried about 8 to 10 things. By the time they're 40, they've tried a lot of things and mixed success. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep trying. Obviously, if they had succeeded, they wouldn't be in this circular pattern of got to try something else, got to try something else. But what I also have known for a long time and experienced this in my wellness clinic is that people want, sure, they want a flat tummy, they want to feel comfortable in their clothes, they want to be able to lean forward and do their shoes up without getting breathless. Bloating, and particularly over the day. If bloat goes on over the day, that's frustrating. Like you can literally have a flat tummy in waking, and then by the end of the day, look like you're pregnant. People really do want more confidence, more energy, that dynamicism that we associate with having a flat stomach. And that is true. People who generally have a flatter tummy and have their weight managed generally have balanced hormones, are eating reasonably well, and have a different experience of the world because of these things. So I think it's a goal worth hunting down and not stopping until you get there. Emotional eating, guilty, feeling shame, all those things that go with emotional eating are very strong. And the key for me is getting the turnkey for you that just makes it a no-brainer. You're not counting calories, you're not feeling guilty, you feel you can have a drink at happy hour, and you feel confident in your swimwear. So I'm hoping that's why you're here because it is doable, but it's not like this lady. This clip was, it's called the steering wheel meal. And there's a sleeve that goes, they introduced it about 15 years ago in the States. It's a thing that goes over the steering wheel. It's got a little table on it so you can eat your burger and drink on the run. Like we just don't want to be doing that. There is no way known you can slice and dice that and say that's healthy, sustainable for the individual or us as a society. If this is your first intro to me, hi. I have been in the wellness space since 1987 as a nurse and then in pharmaceuticals for 9 years. But I've had my own natural medicine business since 2002, and I had about 14 years at uni, I've got about 4 degrees, complementary medicine, nutrition, herbal medicine, and naturopathy, and of course the nursing. Top left, I've done a lot of work over in developing countries with women and setting up maternity, birthing suites and different things. Very passionate about looking after our sisters globally, and these are some of the books on the right-hand side. Uh, just this breadth of knowledge, I guess, has lended me to be interviewed quite a lot on TV. There's a lot more than that. And they're just some of the clips from 7 and 9 in different places. And this particular book, Wait, It's Your Hormones, it's probably now, I launched it about 4 years ago, and it just breaks down all the hormones that are involved with stopping weight loss because that is never discussed. And I'm not going to focus solely on that tonight, but certainly is a massive issue. And when I hear people are doing 8-week boot camps and they're still not losing weight, or I put a post up yesterday and lots of people are reaching out saying, oh, I am not losing weight. It did initially help. They might have done carnivore for a little bit and then it's not working now. And there's reasons why that happens. Now, if we look at what's going on in Australia, where I'm based, there are over 300 newly diagnosed diabetics every single day. It is a major problem. So there's about 2 million Australians at the moment who have diabetes, and that number's obviously going to grow as the country grows, but also as people age and as these terrible foods that really have been the major shift in the last 30 years continue to be consumed, we're going to see more diabetes. Now, that's a major economical disaster right there, but for the individual, it's terrible. Like diabetes, apart from having waxing, waning energy levels, not being able to shift weight, and all those other things we talked about before, they end up with hypertension, heart disease, peripheral neuropathy, so they get numbness in the hands and feet, ulcers, their eyes wear out. Like it's an awful disease. In the past year, over 120,000 Australians, so that's, a couple of Toowoomba's, or a Geelong or a Wollongong, a whole city of Australians now have diabetes that didn't 12 months ago. And I say to you, if you gave me the job of resolving this and I made the situation worse, would you not sack me? And unfortunately, the people who have control over this space still recommend the unhealthy pyramid. Have lots of, carbs and all this sort of rubbish. And all we've done is create diabetics. It's pretty clear that counting calories, eating lots of carbs, upping your insulin as a strategy doesn't work. Now, there's a lot of other options though. So apart from calorie counting and going to I've got plenty of friends with dietitians, but I see their failings, which is the rise in diabetes. So the huge failure in dieting is what's happened now is we've got injected drugs, things like you might have heard of Mounjaro, Ozempic. There's another new one. There's Saxenda. There's Wegovy. There's a lot in Australia now. Surgery, which I'll touch on. Calorie counting. There's meal replacement shakes. People restrict themselves. They fast. They do detoxes. A girlfriend of mine has a clinic where they freeze fat and they do a stack of other stuff to the fat. And that's because people are desperate. Now, oh, I don't know if I can admit it. This is why people have to be on time. Oh, no, I can't. Oh, well. Um, and people still have the cravings, the stress eating, the metabolic stuff that slows down. Oh, I don't think I can let her in. Sorry, it's too hard. Um, and eventually, what I see is this emotional burnout. By the time people come to me, they have tried things and they're desperate. Medically, sometimes that people will be offered stimulants. I was offered stimulants after my first baby, and I'd gained weight, as you often do after your baby, and they put me on Duramine, and I just became like Dorothy out of the Wizard of Oz. It was not good. I couldn't sleep. It's just speed, basically. So the whole idea is to speed your metabolism up. There's caffeine, you might have heard of caffeine supplements. Guarana is another one. There's a lot of pre-workers that people might take before the gym. But these things are stimulants. And majority of people I see, particularly if they're going through menopause or they're corporate, they're burnt out. And the last thing is to stimulate them. That actually makes the metabolism shut down even more. Okay. Let's talk about these guys, injections. You can get it on script. You can get it privately. So they originally came into Australia, it must be about 6 years ago now, and for type 2 diabetics that needed to lose weight, because we know that when people can or do lose weight, their health improves. We know that. So these drugs are a peptide that, it's going to be annoying, isn't it, bouncing in and out there? Um, that what they do, they're called GLP-1 receptor agonists. So in our stomach, we've got what are called GLP-1 receptor sites, and the drug binds to that, and that tells our brain that we're full. So it reduces your appetite. And it's been shown to reduce appetite anywhere from 10 to 18%. And that's because it's injected into fat tissue that lasts for a while. So you only need an injection, say, every 3 weeks or 4 weeks. They're quite expensive. It's about 5 grand a year to have someone on these drugs. What's coming through now, which was always there, it's always published. The companies, when they put these things forward, have to have studies at phase 4, and now we're getting post-marketing on this. So pancreatic cancer is a real thing. Thyroid cancer is a real problem. Not forgetting the 20% who get the nausea, the diarrhea, the belly aches, all that sort of stuff that goes with it. It causes cancer. We know that. And we're also finding now that, millions of people globally have used these drugs, that people are, they're getting protein wastage. So if you Googled, and I haven't got a picture here, but if you were to Google Ozempic face, it comes up and people look sallow. They lose their muscle, they become weak, they end up with connective tissue issues. That's after they stop the thing. So it's not sustainable. I did on Friday, a little search, so anyone can do this. You can go to the Australian government website, the TGA, which is where adverse events are meant to be reported for these drugs. But I've worked in the system. The paperwork is inhibitive, so a lot of things don't get reported. But for Ozempic, if you type that in there, 26 deaths in Australia already. Mounjaro, 6 deaths already. Now, they say this is about 10% of what's really going on. And that's because it's so underreported because it's an admin task that, it takes a week to fill in. So people just don't do it. People want to know what's going to happen when they stop. And what seems to be happening when people stop these drugs is they regain the weight, but they're left with the connective tissue issues and the protein issues. Now, if you choose surgery, which is also incredibly popular and offered, as it's under Medicare in Australia now, we used to do things like duodenal stitch and gastric bypass. The most popular thing at the moment, though, is gastric sleeve. And what happens is they slice out 2/3 of your stomach. They throw it away. They don't put it on ice in case you change your mind in a week or a year. They toss that bit out, gets incinerated, and you end up with a very narrow, small stomach. The concept being that you get full because there's receptor sites in there that tell your brain you're full, so you get full. Now, psyllium does a similar thing, and so does slippery elm. It swells up in your gut, it's natural, and it tells your brain you're full. There's plenty of ways to tell your body you're full without mutilating yourself. So, what I've found is that the real issues are often undiagnosed or they're not addressed in a very safe and supportive environment. Now, some of these things are people overeat. And the research shows that people who are a normal size underestimate their eating by 20 to 25%. People who are overweight underestimate how much they're consuming by 30%. And there's just a couple of little hacks. I like this picture, even though it's pizza. Same size pizza. You can see the one on the left, it's on the one on the right, on the left on a larger plate. It doesn't look like it's going to fill you up as much. Whereas the same size pizza on a smaller plate looks like a complete meal. So psychologically, we often overeat. And if you've been to America, and we tend to follow suit a little bit, there's super size, everything's supersized. So we're already overeating in one meal. But more importantly, everything's on big stuff, big plates, big knives and forks. But a little hack for you right now that you can start today is do smaller plates, smaller utensils. And what happens is you eat less. The amount of people over my time who I've picked up these underlying metabolic issues, and I don't know, we don't need to go back to that slide about diabetes, but there's a lot of people walking around with undiagnosed diabetes and undiagnosed blood sugar problems. In 2001 in Australia, the Michael Woodridge was the health minister then, and he put a few million into this study, and it showed that 1 in 4 Australians over the age of 25 have a blood sugar problem. That was back then. That was 25 years ago. That number's only gone up. It's likely to be 1 in 3 at a minimum, potentially 1 in 2 people have a blood sugar problem. So the food advice people are getting from, non-nutritionists, nutritionists know what they're doing, but from the other source is, have carbs, have 10 serves of bread a day, you'll be fine. It is not fine. It's clear that strategy doesn't work. And we also need strategies for balancing blood sugar. I get people to add more protein in because that offsets the insulin swings. And that's really what we're talking about. Putting your body through a state where it has to secrete insulin, and it will do that when you're healthy. Do that, grabs of glucose, takes it into the cell. But over time, you wear that system out. So you end up with insulin that doesn't respond quick enough, or you end up with blunting, which means it just becomes a bit not as powerful at doing its job. So you need more. So it puts more pressure on the system. And it's a very, very common problem, which isn't that hard to fix, to be honest. But you need someone who, once again, knows what they're doing. I wouldn't be going to I wouldn't be going to a pharmacy and buying something off the shelf at this point just yet. I think if you're here, you've already tried some things. The wrong exercise. And, for a long time there, I was traveling around the country giving presentations to personal trainers and weight loss consultants because there's this concept in Australia that more is better, more exercise. A lady contacted me with that post I put up yesterday saying she does 2 hours a day on the treadmill and that's how she's lost weight. 2 hours a day on a treadmill. I'm sorry, that's just not, I just don't know how she's done it. But that also will have negative effects on your body. And if you're going through menopause, getting exercise right is the most important thing. Otherwise, you keep yourself in burnout. So, exercise is important, but the right sort, time the right way, where your body's at, and that might change as you heal or remedy or move through if you're going through a hormone transition like menopause, that can change. You can go back to doing marathons when your hormones are balanced. But it's probably not a great idea doing marathons when your hormones aren't balanced and you're getting symptoms. Does that make sense? You can put questions in the chat. I'll get back to them at the end. Now, one of my specialties is definitely hormone interpretation and hormone literacy for people. If you've got high cortisol, so I use saliva testing, blood testing is a waste of time. We want to get accurate information. It's not covered by Medicare, but it is worth getting that information about your body. I have also been doing, I haven't got a slide on here, but I've been doing cortisol over the day, and that gives us a really good picture of what your body, how you're responding to your environment and work and different things. But if your cortisol's up, you will not lose weight. So why even start? This information is so important, and you can't guess it. I would say 60% of my clients have high cortisol, but there are 20 that have really low cortisol. They're so burnt out, they've got no adrenal reserve. So you can't just go and have something to lower cortisol if that's not the problem. It's a different strategy. So that's why this information is gold. Similarly, these sort of things, these numbers are not safe. Low progesterone, high estrogen, that's breast cancer material. These numbers give so much information about a person that I think I wish it was covered on Medicare. It's not, but when I get this information and I work with people, we change not just their weight, we change their whole life. So when people want to lose weight in the long term, and just remember, pop your questions and I'll get back to them at the end of this. I because so I've worked with lots of successful weight loss people, and also obviously not everyone's come to me to be successful at weight loss. So I've also seen and witnessed what they do. There comes a point where there's just a line and they go, that's it. I've had enough. I have one lady who she's lost, I think now 65 kilos. And she saw me for 3 months. We got things underway, and after that, it all just took care of itself. And she got to the point she actually needed to get her stomach apron removed surgically, and she's never looked back. She doesn't diet. She just knows what works. She's not fatigued. She just one day the switch went on. She said, "I'm done. No more of this. No more messing around. No more trying, drops or this or that. I'm doing this properly." And when I find when people make that decision, then they're unstoppable. But I understand when you've tried 8, 9, 10 times, or you've listened to Joan down the back, or you've tried something else and it hasn't worked. It might have worked initially, but it hasn't worked long term. They get disheartened. I totally get it. But people who do it with the full belief they're going to be successful are. I do like getting a baseline hormone test, or at least looking at your food and the habits and those sorts of things. I think it's important. I mean, if we were broke and we weren't saving money, but we had money coming to us and we just were perpetually broke, we'd go and get professional support. We'd reach out to somebody who was going to coach us in money. Similarly with legals, we pay so much money to other professionals, but for some reason in Australia, people think doctors are the only port of call, and they're not. When you look at the statistics and the most successful people with weight loss in this country, it is personal trainers and nutritionists and naturopaths. That's it. So invest in yourself. And if you might have already invested a lot of money in the past, but invest in the right person, invest in yourself. And what did I say there? No, their options are not good. Reach out through the tough times. Yeah, you need someone also who's going to support you and not shame you, because it's not linear. You don't just suddenly go whoop and get all this weight loss. There are times where you want to pig out, or just I don't know, have chocolate bars or do something or have a weekend off. Someone said to me on Friday, so I've had about 60 conversations in the last 2 days. And she said, "Oh, this is going really well for me, but this weekend coming, I've got friends coming and I don't know what to do." She's in panic stations because it's not sustainable. If you feel like you haven't got flexibility in your everyday to accommodate the plan, then the plan's not for you. So I'll just take you through this flat stomach program I have that's available. And this is after years of helping people. And the idea is to give you support enough to kickstart it. So you get 8 weeks of eating plans with me. And they've also got little video clips that come to your inbox. The Happy Female Formula, I designed this about 16 years ago. There's 5 modules. We talk about hormones, how they impact on you. Women love it. And you also get a 30-minute call with me. So we get on a call, we talk about where you're at, what supplements you're taking, what you've struggled with, what you've tried. I'll try and put a lens on it, a new lens for you, so you feel inspired. You can make the most of these other online programs and get underway. So the eating plans, I've been selling these for years and also part of my 3-month programs. They're proven, they work. They're a backup, they don't have to be followed. I've got women who are really confident with eating and cooking, and men as well. And that they've got the concepts of it, because I'd rather teach people concepts and inspire concepts than you must follow this, because that's not sustainable. But these are here, and once, the first couple of weeks it builds them up, and then there's an alkalizing couple of weeks. But people adore them as a backstop or as the full. I've got people who followed these to the letter, and the calories do not add up, but they are designed to balance hormones, and they get the job done. They really do. The second part, as I mentioned, those hormone secrets, brilliant. Like sometimes I look back at the stuff I've produced over the time and I go, wow, that's so good. There's little activities in there, little videos, and it's online, so you can just work through it. Talk about blood sugar balancing, how to read labels, how to, just all the biohacks around food, around sleep, around menopause, around balancing hormones. Because this is the stuff that not many people know about or are trained about or can talk about. So easy to unpack modules. I'll talk about stress because I tell you, stress is one of the key problems for belly fat and other fat gain because of the cortisol and the sugar issues as well. The third part is you do get a consultation with me. And in that consultation, we do it via Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are. We spend time, you tell me your history, I get the supplements you're on, what you've tried, your frustrations. If you're going through menopause, we'll discuss that. And then I'll say, right, I think strategically this is going to work for you better than this. So just save you trying another 6 things. You may want to use that time for something else. It's totally up to you. It is a consultation, so I can give you advice, and we go for 30 minutes. You'll come out of it with a short-term plan. And if I think you need any other tests, blood tests or saliva tests or any other tests, we'll talk about it. Like I'm finding at the moment a lot of people have primary gut problems. And so we're doing food allergy testing, and it's really useful, that sort of stuff. So we can discuss all that in the chat. So just as a summary, get the eating plans, the Happy Female Formula strategy call. It's normally 9:44, and that sells. That's available on my website now. But today I've got it available for 197. And the reason is because I know by the time you get to me, you've already spent a lot of time. I'm giving it less than my consult fee. I just want to get people started on this. So what I'm going to do is put this in the chat. And I'd love you to tap on it. If you've got any questions, pop them in there. So just if you could click on that link there, just to let me know it opens up. Do these work for people in menopause already where weight really struggles to come off? It does, and you also use the eating plans as a template for menopause. Reason being, it's still a hormone issue. And I guess, the superpower or the really hidden benefit of those eating plans is each week you get a 4 little video clips, and I talk about educating about the head, the heart, food, and movement. So sometimes, I try not to dump so much information on people all at once, which is why the 8 weeks is great, because we build on it, build on it, build on it. But if your brain is on, your gut will be off. And if you're going through menopause, you cannot afford that. You have to really focus on your food. You have to switch the brain down and then eat. And it takes about 10 minutes for that process. And the things with menopause are usually most people I find, well, they have a hormone imbalance. That's what menopause is all about. There are millions of women globally who just walk through menopause. They stop having a period and that's it. 12 months later, they haven't had a period, menopausal. That's it. Great. They've done menopause. I went through menopause in 6 weeks. I thought I had malaria when it first started because I was waking up flushing and I thought, my God, what's happening? I've got malaria because I was spending time in Bali on these retreats and different things. And then I went, oh, I hadn't had a period for 3 months. I was like, my God, this is what people talk about. And then I did a saliva test. I did a hair test as well, actually. I went vegetarian for a little while, balanced my hormones, happy days. So the focus is on getting hormones balanced when you're in menopause. Food is important, movement's important, slightly different. You can't go bull at a gate in menopause. It has the reverse effect. Uh, and similarly, I am finding over these years that I've been doing this, 25 years specializing in the hormone side of it, that a lot of women in menopause have a slower metabolism. Their thyroid isn't sparking as much, and that's usually because they're burnt out. So if we work on the burnout, get those hormones back to balance, and there's other symptoms usually in menopause, like a flush or memory fog or broken sleep. And so they can tell symptomatically they're feeling better, but the weight also starts taking care of themselves, of itself. So yes, it certainly does. Any other questions there? This post I put up the other day, and I said, "What's working for people?" And there's probably different. There's nearly 200 comments now, but I've read 60 to 70 different methodologies that work for people. A lot, though, are saying I've only got 5 to 10 Ks to lose, and what did work doesn't work now. And I can nearly guarantee it's going to come down to hormones in that situation, because your body gets to a point where your metabolism's too slow, or the menopause hormones are out, or your cortisol's too high, or blood sugar's out, so insulin's a hormone. So it's usually a hormone blockage. And to keep doing more of the same, like to stay being a carnivore where you don't like meat, to try and get that weight loss again doesn't make sense. So I think it's important to pivot at different points as well. Does that link work when you open it, ladies? If you click on it, let me know. Brilliant. Yep, yay. Okay, I'm just going to stop recording there.